Okay, today we're talking about you and the church, because in this Back to Basics series, that's kind of what we're doing. We're taking like relationships from people to the Bible to now the church. And the church is a really one that gets overlooked all the time, because you see, we visualize church as a building. And obviously this is called a church, and it is a building, and we're inside of it right now. So we obviously, I do the same thing. I think church, I think New Hope. I think crosses and steeples and whatever they're called, And so, but I'm kind of here today is to change your mind about that, because who all knows who Saul was? Saul Paul / Paul. Everyone, yeah? So basically, if you don't know, Saul was Hitler, basically, to Christians. He hunted them down, he killed them, he liked it, he beat them, he hated them. He hated everything about them. And then one day, God came down to him on the road when he was going to kill more Christians, and he's all, Saul, why do you persecute me? Why are you doing this to me? And made Saul blind. And really long story short, Saul became one of the most influential men in the New Testament. He changed the church to what it is today, or essentially, and just going to show that's possible, that God can take, obviously he's a very extreme, violent, aggressive person. So he took that and he made it for himself. He took Paul's strong suits, like being aggressive and not really caring what other people think and going all out, and he used that for himself, and Saul became Paul, which is amazing. And if you kind of think of that, I heard it worded as this, as the violent capture of a rebel will. How many of us are rebels? I know I am. Look at me. So we have, I'm sure all of you are rebels, and I'm sure all your parents would definitely say you're rebels, as my mom would. And so just think about that. Think about your rebel will. And you want to go against, they say don't do it, and you kind of want to do it. Just out of habit. That's me anyways. And so think about that in the aspect of the church. So you have this rebel will, this spirit, this young angst in you since we're teenagers. Or I was a teenager until yesterday. I still kind of think like a teenager, I think. But and you have this angst, this anxiety, this energy that no one else has, that little kids don't have, that adults don't have, that old people don't have, that dead people definitely don't have. And so we have an ability to harness that, and we just constantly put it into the wrong areas of our life, whether that's doing drugs, whether that's partying, whether that's just whatever you do. Like for me, it was doing drugs, it was drinking, it was punching walls, it was being angry, it was putting all that energy into stuff that I shouldn't be putting that energy into. And in your relationship to the church, it's if you could put up the Romans 12:6-8, it says, since our gifts vary depending on the grace poured out on each of us, it is important that we exercise the gifts we have been given. If prophecy is your gift, then speak as a prophet, according to your proportion of faith. If service is your gift, then serve well. If teaching is your gift, then teach well. If you have been given a voice of encouragement, then use it often. If giving is your gift, then be generous. If leading, then be eager to get started. If sharing God's mercy, then be cheerful in sharing it. That's Romans 12:6-8. And basically what that's saying is we all are good at something. Whether or not you believe it, you're good at something. That's a fact. Whether or not you like doing it right now, you're still good at it. And I don't know what that is like. Who wants to tell me what they're good at? Somebody, anybody. All right, what are you good at? Creativity. Anyone else? I know you guys are good at stuff. Fighting and martial arts, that's awesome. Golf? That's legit. Anyways? Math? See, we have such a range of stuff we're good at, from being creative to beating people up to playing golf to doing math. That's all super cool, but it's all over the board. And so when you think about serving in the church, your responsibility to the church, and when I thought about serving in the church, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go basically do that. I'm like a kid. I love kickboxing. I love that. So that'll be my example for the day. And so I want to kickbox, right? I want to do it, and I want to train, and I want to get crazy into it, and I want to start getting professional and do all this crazy stuff. And God's like, if I did that for God, I could use that to reach millions, literally millions of people. But would I be doing it for God, or would I be doing it for myself? And so you have this ability to take your passion, whether it's golf, creativity, math, or fighting, or art, or whatever it may be, music, and you can do it for God, and it will be blessed, and it will save lives, and it will do everything. Or you can do it for yourself and do it for this world, and it will falter, just because you will fail you and this world will fail you. And I know that sounds depressing and angry, and this like weird guy with a mullet and tattoos is up here telling you the world's going to fail you, but it is, you know. And God, out of experience, has never failed me. I recently just started the kickboxing again, and I don't have any equipment. I don't have anything, you know. I was just like, God, if you want this to be for you, I want it to be for you. I'm praying for it to be for you, but I'm just going to do it, or if it's provided to me. And I got provided a gym membership for free, and the gym happens to have a heavy bag. It happens to have all the stuff I need. Someone went out of their way and bought me gloves when I told them not to. I told them, don't buy me gloves. I'll buy them on my own when I can. They went and bought me gloves. And so all this stuff is coming together because I'm praying for it, and I want to do it for God, and I want to use my talents to serve the church, which is it's paid off in more ways than I could ever verbally express to you. Many of you didn't see me until like 2 months ago, and that's because I didn't go here until like 2 or 3 months ago. And I wasn't living my life for God. I had strayed away, and I was just serving myself and the things of this world. And I'll tell you, it's miserable. I was sober. I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't drinking. But I wasn't living for God, and it wasn't paying out in the way like I could see someone else's life get better. I could help someone else. And now I can come to the church, and I can do landscaping, and I love it. Because I'm helping out my church, I'm helping out my family. I can come up here and I can pray for little Mateo, and I know that that's going to make a difference because he's my family. And that's my responsibility to this church, and that's your responsibility to this church, because we are all a family. Whether you like it or not, we all fight with our brothers and sisters. I mean, I know that. And we are all brothers and sisters, and I prefer you don't fight, especially Ian, because he's a martial artist, and he'll take you down. So it's just this sense of community and the sense of family that you will get if you continue to serve, and you can use your passion, you can use your talent, whatever it may be, to serve in the church. And if you have a question about that, you can come talk to me after. You can talk to Eric downstairs after. You can talk to anyone you want, and we will find a way to use your talent, because that's what it's all about. You know, it's all about serving your church and the community around you. If you could put up the next verse, that would be awesome. And 1 Corinthians 12:20 through 21, what we have is one body with many parts. Each is a proper size and in its proper place. No part is important on its own. Can you imagine your eye telling the hand, get lost, I don't need you? Or the head telling your foot, you're fired, your job has been phased out. I want that to sink in for a second. It doesn't make sense, because obviously it doesn't make sense. Like I don't know how else to say that, but don't ever like look at someone else's talent and be like, that's so much better than mine. Like one of my talents is I'm really good at edging. I like to weed whack. I don't really like it, but I'm good at it. I do it a lot. so I'll think of that, and then I'll see someone like Dale, and he's leading the worship team, and it's awesome, and he's killing it, and he's just ripping these solos, and he's got everything going, and I'm all, well, edging sucks compared to that, you know, like nobody needs their yards edge when you can play like that or whatever. But then you kind of got to step back and be like, if I didn't do all that, this church would get overgrown with weeds, and people would drive by and be like, does anyone even go there? Like, what? Like, and it would be ugly. And I mean, this is God's home, and the last thing we want for it is to be ugly, you know. So and that's a pretty bad example, because I don't really have any cool talents like that. So I weed whack. I mean, that was my example. So if you have a better example, which I'm sure you all do, it matters. No one can tell you you're not as important as me because I preach and you just vacuum on Saturdays. Like, no one can tell you. If someone tells you that, you can tell them this verse right there. I was about to say you can beat them up, like, but don't. No. So you can tell them about this verse. You can say, I matter just as much as you, because even though you're the head, you can't go anywhere without your feet. You can't pick anything up without your hands, and you can't think without your heart supplying blood to your head. So that's how it all works. We need to mesh together. We need to be this. I'm just so concentrated on the idea of family and the idea of just us as a youth group coming together and just being more than a youth group. I want to intervene in this community. I want every one of you to think of a talent today. And if you can't think of one today that you have, I want you to think about it over the week, and I want you to text it to me. I want you to let me know. I want you to put it on a social network, and I want to use you. Even if you don't want to be used, kind of like forget about it, because it's for God. Like, it's not for me. I mean, I'm not cool enough to use your talents for something greater than this. But God is. And so whatever talent you have, whether it's minuscule or great, whether you like doing it, or maybe you're like, well, I'm not really good, but people say I'm good. I hear people say that all the time. Like, usually if someone says you're good, you're halfway decent. And so I just want you all to tell me something. Like, some of you have already sent that out, but I'm really encouraging you to hear this and to think, how can I serve my church? Because that's our responsibility as Christians. That's our responsibility as followers of Christ, to come to church and not leave it, but to take it with us. So we come here and we learn and we take it out. And I can tell someone, I can go down, which I've never been used to be able to do this. I can go down to the pier on a Friday night and strike up a conversation with anyone and somehow work God into it. That's one of my talents. I talk. Kind of like Eric talks too much. I talk a lot, maybe not as much as Eric, but I talk a lot. So I'll start up conversations. Usually people will be like, hey, what's that tattoo mean? And I'll be like, well, it means this. And then that's how I start a conversation. And I always want to work God into it, because I want people to know who I am and where I'm from, and my church family being New Hope. Literally, some of my family members go here. But I consider everyone here just as much as my family. And I care for all of you just as much. And I want to see you all involved in serving and having fun and using your talent for something greater than, because it's something that I am experiencing right now, and it's something it's a feeling I want to share with the world, basically. And if I can just start it with you who are close to me, that would be an awesome, awesome experience.